because so many people need to hear it, man, that no matter what situation that people are in, there's always hope, as long as you can keep it.
I could even say every individual has a story that the world needs to hear.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight by AudateMedia. In this interview show, you will learn how to succeed through other people's stories, challenges that they overcame, and how they are winning in this new economy. You'll learn what to do in your business, what not to do in your business, and how others are succeeding. Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight. I'm sitting down with Tim Lane right now, world famous kickboxer, 4-time world champion, connecting people with the power of connection through stick boxing, and is just, is an overall great guy. Really happy to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Sefo. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. So as we get started, the first thing we'd like to start off with is just, what's your message that you would like to have out into the world? If you were to have one thing that explains what Tim Lane's Fitness does and what you're about, what is that one statement? That
one statement is to keep hope alive.
Okay.
To always keep an open mind and to know that as long as you keep moving forward, that you'll find the way to achieve your goals.
Okay, awesome. That's a great message to have. And how does your own story tie personally into that mantra?
Well, when I was a small child, I was bullied because my father was in the military and I was a new kid in town quite a bit.
Okay.
And my dad put me in martial arts. And when I was 6 years old, I actually won a judo tournament. And when the referee raised my hand, I got goosebumps.
I feel it.
And
yeah.
So that was at that moment, that was the best I'd ever felt in my life. And I said, from this moment on, this is my goal. I'm going to be a world champion, because people were clapping for me. And
at 6 years old.
6 years old.
Okay. That's a powerful thing to have in your mind. You want to beat the world at. That's a beautiful thing. That's powerful, man. Wow. Okay, that's crazy. So what did you do from then on to keep moving forward with that?
I pursued my martial arts, so wherever my father moved, he would put me into a different martial art.
Okay.
And I would continue to set goals and achieve those goals one step at a time through training every day and having discipline and continuing to win tournaments.
That's awesome, man. So you moved around a lot. Were you a part of, or was your dad military, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my dad was in the Special Forces. So
okay, he was Green Beret, up there with the Green Beret SEALs. That kind of.
Yeah, he was an Army Ranger. And then he was.
Salute to your father for his service.
Thank you, Sefo.
Of course. Wow, that's awesome. How did that play into, did you, with moving around a lot, did you find that it made it harder to connect with the people that you were, into the communities that you were moving into, and martial arts was a way to connect with that community?
I did, Sefo. When from 5 to 10 years old, I lived in Oklahoma, in Lawton, Oklahoma, and I had a best friend. His name was Jamar Workman. And he was actually just out here in town with his wife and kids. And
in Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He still lives in Oklahoma. Okay. But he was my best friend, and we did everything together. So I was very comfortable from 5 to 10 in the community of Lawton, Oklahoma. But then when I moved, it really rocked my world. It took me away from my best friend and everything I ever knew. So wherever I moved from that point on, I didn't really get connected with people after that. I pretty much just fought, and I was kind of detached from relationships, because I thought that if I got close to someone, I would have to say bye again. So it was really fighting. And I was a part of the community, and all the martial art gyms I've been a part of. That was definitely a comfort in my life. But I had a hesitant developing relationships because of me having to leave my best friend.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I actually grew up in California, and I moved to Cedar Rapids when I was about, 13, 14.
Michigan?
And Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Oh, Iowa, okay.
Yeah, so I moved out there, and so it was actually at the turn of the 8th grade year, and how kids, fond of their friends, So I definitely understand what you're talking about, and for me, that connection was football. So yeah, I connected with people through football. So that's having that outlet to, I mean, you know, even fighting, like even fighting. Like there's a people in that circle who will just, you know, get connected that way, and that's awesome. So at least you were able to overcome the tribulations that you had with developing relationships and things like that.
Yeah, martial arts definitely definitely helped that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay, you were moving around a lot. So, how did you actually fall into, like, developing yourself into a world class? Like, was that just all throughout high school? You had that singular thing in mind, or was it like something you were working on in the background and kind of were focusing on other things?
Well, I at the age of 14, I actually got into trouble for fighting on the street, and I went away until I was 19.
In juvie?
In juvie, yeah. I received a juvenile. Yes, I got in the court system, got caught up, and where I went there, I started boxing. So I had done judo. That was my first martial art, and then I'd done taekwondo. And then while I was away, I did a lot of boxing. So when I came home at 19, I said, you know, I'm not gonna fight on the street anymore. I'm gonna take all my martial arts skills and become the best I can. So I continued to pursue martial arts and get my black belt and under a guy named Joe Louis, who was Bruce Lee's #1 student. Joe Louis was the first American kickboxer, and
that's who you learned from.
I learned from Joe Louis. Yep.
So, okay,
yeah, with the tutelage from Bruce Lee. You know, Bruce Lee was my favorite growing up.
Right.
So, and he's a southpaw, so I'm a southpaw.
Oh, okay, so, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I know you said when we met today, you were like, I was expecting you to be a bigger guy, but you know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, people talk about even Bruce Lee. You know, he was like what 5'5", 5'6", like slapping people around like that.
He and I were about the same size, and he, you know, I fought at 140, so it was, you know, small but fast.
Pack a punch.
You know? Pack a punch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's great, man. So, did you ever actually get to meet Bruce Lee?
I didn't.
No. Okay.
No.
Just curious. My own little, little thing, you know.
In my dreams, though.
Yeah. Right. So, so we found about the what? Okay. And so after having gotten that tutelage from Rick Lewis, right? Or I'm sorry,
Joe Louis. Yep.
Where did it actually start turning into, like, man, you know, what was it, the stick boxing? I wanted to talk a little bit more about and delve into how you develop, you know, going from kickboxing and actually stick boxing, and what little I know about the story is that you were messing around with a person, like, here, hit me right here, right? From the last podcast I was watching, but yeah, could you explain a little bit more on that?
Well, I pursued my dream of becoming world champion. I was living in Virginia, and I thought I needed more experience because of the people in the karate school didn't have many professional fights. There weren't any professional boxers in the gym. So I read a KO magazine about a boxer and his father, Yoel Judah, who lived in New York. And his father was a 5-time world kickboxing champion, and Zab was the best in boxing, and he was also a southpaw. So I decided to move when I was 26 years old from Virginia up to New York to train at Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, to train with Zab Judah and his father and family. There's 6 brothers, so 6 Judah brothers. So I went to Gleason's Gym and developed my boxing skills to put together with the kicking and the kickboxing I had done to be the best that I could be. And it was 4 years later when I moved to New York is when I won my world title.
Okay.
So, but the stick boxing, what ended up happening is when I was little, in the gym we would punch and kick swimming noodles.
Yeah, that's a common thing. I actually was in jiu-jitsu for a little bit, like, you know, growing, you know, jiu-jitsu so for like 4 years, and like I was what was it, blue belt with 2 stripes type of thing. So I wasn't like, I was good, but I didn't necessarily continue it that far. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
so you know, doing that for many years, I was in a gym, and I I had a boxer that I really wanted to train with this, and we were traveling quite a bit, and I had an issue with my shoulder. So holding the pads, I needed to find a way to make the swimming noodle not fall apart. So I got a fishing pole, and I stuck it up the middle of the swimming noodle, and I taped it up real good so it allowed me to hold on to it and still hold pads for my boxer. So if I'm holding him and he's punching him,
so it gives that back, that like kind of elasticity.
it gives a little bit of and it gives a little resistance for the boxer, because with a swimming noodle there's not much resistance there. So putting a fishing pole in there was able to give them a little bit of satisfaction.
Right.
So I started developing the stick boxing system as a coach. So as many coaches do, as I was little, my coaches held the noodles for us to punch and kick.
Right.
But the craziest thing happened, Cepho. In my mind, I was like, man, I'm gonna be the world's greatest coach. I'm gonna sell 1 million of these. We got these handles with the noodles. They should be easy to make.
Right.
But I was in a gym one day, and a dude came up to me in a wheelchair, and he said, hey, I wanna learn how to box. And I was, at the time, holding pads for a client inside the gym.
Holding the pads, and you mean like just like the regular mitts that you would hold, right? Or you mean
I was
like
holding? I was actually holding the swimming noodles as if they were hand pads.
Okay.
Right. So that was which many people do it today. You see a lot of different boxing coaches doing it. But what I ended up doing was, this guy asked me to show him how to box, and he's in a wheelchair. I've tried that before. When people are in a wheelchair and they wear gloves, they try to hit, but they can't really get their body.
They don't generate that torque.
You can't get the body behind it, and there's not a lot of satisfaction. So I said, at the spur of the moment, I said, here you go, take the sticks. And he took the sticks, and I had him use the sticks as an extension of his arm. So with me standing up, holding the boxing pads, he was able to hit my hands. And I showed him it very simple, but it mimics the punches, right?
Okay.
So he was throwing his 1, 2, 3, and 4, and for about 2 minutes, and he stopped, and he got emotional. I said, hey man, what's wrong?
Hey, what's going on?
He said, Tim, I haven't felt this good since my leg was blown off in Afghanistan. And
goosebumps. Yeah, I got some right now.
As you see, that particular moment changed my life. And I said, oh man, it took me back to the time when I was 6 years old. I said, man,
it's so crazy how full circle that is, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah,
that changed me right there, Cepho. That was the move.
You found out your mission.
Man, I found out my mission. And for so many years I thought that fighting, I gotta fight. And now,
when really, I think if I may make a assessment of like what I'm hearing, like you're yearning for that connection, that you're yearning for that fighting was really just a play into the connection part. Your stick boxing, you call it the art of connection, right? So like I love that, man. That's oof. You're not supposed to get emotional on these, but like oof, real quick.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Wow, that's powerful stuff, man. So that was how long ago was that?
That happened 6 years ago.
Okay.
And from that moment, what happened, Cepho, was I was training fighters when I retired. I retired in 2006.
Okay.
In 2007, I had trained my first boxer to become a Golden Glove champion at Madison Square Garden. And what's crazy is he's the only person from his country of El Salvador to win the Golden Gloves at Madison Square Garden. And something I found out recently was, while Raul and I were talking, we're trying to develop him to write a book. He got into the country on April 19th, 1998, right?
Okay.
He had an issue in El Salvador because if he did not become a gang member, they were gonna kill him. They said, if you're not gonna be in our gang, then you can't be around here. So he escaped his country, and it took him 40 days to get to America. He got to America on April 19th, 1998. It was 9 years later, on the same date, April 19th, 2007, that Raul Nuncio won the Golden Gloves at Madison Square Garden.
Your whole story is filled with so much alignment and like, you know what I mean? So much full circle. This is kind of insane, man.
Yeah.
Same exact date.
Same date. And we you know, I think he knew about the date, but it wasn't brought up between he and I until earlier this year as we're trying to work on his book, because so many people need to hear it, man, that no matter what situation that people are in, there's always hope as long as you can keep it.
I could even say every individual has a story that the world needs to hear, you know, so like has just a story that's just as powerful, and you don't know who you could change with it. So yeah, man, that's, you know, you don't know who depends on your success. Right, who depends on hearing your success. So it's a great example of that, man. Wow. Are you guys the person that you were speaking, I'm sorry, I forget his name.
Raul Nuncio?
Raul Nuncio. Okay, are you guys still connected? And
yeah. We talk, you know, at least every week. Right. So
and he wasn't your only Golden Gloves, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's not your only Golden Gloves champion.
He was my first fighter that I trained to be a champion. That was in 2007. And in the town that we were living in Glen Cove, New York, on Long Island, no one had won the Golden Gloves there since 1972, when it was Howard Davis, who went on to become a gold medalist in the Olympics. So Raul Nuncio was the first one in Glen Cove to ever bring the gloves back in 2007. Well, the next year I trained another fighter in 2008 to win the Golden Gloves at Madison Square Garden as well. And then again in 2009, trained another individual to win the gloves.
So how you keep finding these people that don't know nothing about boxing and turning them into champs, man? Like, that's kind of, you know, it's they didn't know anything, right? Like,
well, they were martial artists.
Oh, they were martial artists. Okay.
No boxing experience, but what ended up happening, Cepho, is, you know, I've been training since I was a small child, and there's certain things that I learned about the body because I wanted to win, because I wanted people to like me. You know, I studied everything. And what ended up happening is the connection and the relationship that I developed with them, I put everything I had into it. Since I was done fighting, I wanted to only see them succeed. So I pretty much, I put everything I had into it, and I took all the resources that I had learned to achieve my own goals, and I transferred that to them. But the number one thing is, Cepho, I always had their back, and I believed in them. And they felt that, and they became the best that they could be, man. Everybody has a champion inside.
Yep.
Because I started to believe in them, but I helped them believe in themselves.
Right. And unlocking that. Powerful stuff, man. Gee.
Unlocking it, that's right.
Yeah, for sure. So what were the other fighters' names?
It was Raul Nuncio, Danny Torres, and Vincenzo D'Angelo.
Okay. I'm a mixed martial artist fan myself, so I'm gonna check out a little bit more into their stories. Vinny, Vincenzo. Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So what ended up happening in Cepho is I had a boxer who had no professional boxer. These were all amateur fighters, but I had a professional boxer that I actually moved out here. We moved out to Las Vegas to pursue. Together.
Oh, okay.
Yep. From New York, we came out here together to pursue his dream of becoming a world champion in boxing.
Okay.
He was a kickboxing champion already, but he had no amateur boxing at all. And he ended up doing great. He won a world title on HBO, and on HBO, he fought a dude.
The premiere Russian presentations that they run, the pay-per-views on the HBO. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was Boxing After Dark.
Oh, okay. So, I see those running all the time. Okay, yeah.
You remember the Russian dude named Ruslan Bravatnikov? They call him the Russian Rocky.
I remember Russian Rocky. That sounds familiar more so than that last name. I'm not too good with the names, as you can tell.
Yeah, well, Ruslan was a killer, and he hit my boxer in the first round and broke his orbit, and my boxer went 12 rounds.
With a broken orbital?
With a broken orbital, and you know, they could have very easily stopped the fight,
right?
But they allowed him to go because he was winning every round. He won a split decision that night.
He won the fight?
Man, he won the fight.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Man, you want to learn how to fight through a broken orbital? Hit up this man right here. That's awesome. Wow.
It's wild, but I some people ask me a bunch of times, like, dude, how did you even work the corner, you know, for something like that?
Right.
And I was like, man, it's too deep to explain. But what happened is I had my first title defense. I fought a dude named Tommy the Warrior Rodriguez. And in the first round, I caught him and broke his orbit and swelled his eyes shut. And this guy fought me 10 rounds. I won. I won on decision.
Right.
But I was going after his eyes so much that I forgot the game plan. I wasn't thinking anything except, man, I'm gonna be the first person in the world to ever knock somebody's eyeball all the way out of the socket live on TV. And that's how I was thinking about that.
Wow.
So in the fight, it didn't come to me until, you know, years after that fight, that how did I didn't even pay attention to that. I just stuck to the game plan and talked to him about the game plan that we had trained so long for. But it was from the experience of me fighting someone who I was just going for the eye. It's very difficult to think about a game plan or punch to the body or punch anywhere else.
Focused on the one weak
Focused
spot.
on one thing, man. I was just focused on the eye. And this guy Tommy Rodriguez fought me the whole fight and stuck to his own game plan. So he
And that's why he was able to last at least for 10 rounds. So I mean,
Yes.
didn't win, but lasted. So
Yes.
props to him. But
yeah.
you know, Tim Lane came out with that win. So
Yes.
So man, I'm loving your story, man. Yeah.
What ended up happening, Seppo, was after he won the world title, he was offered a fight with Manny Pacquiao in China.
Oh, okay.
In Hong Kong. We accepted the fight, and I accepted the fight because I thought that Manny Pacquiao had gotten old. You know,
Right.
In his fight before, he slowed down. He didn't look like the same guy. My guy was in tremendous shape, and I really felt like he could win. I didn't have to question his heart. You know, he was in shape, and going over there, he lost the fight. He lost a 12-round decision to Manny Pacquiao.
Right.
But after the fight was over, it was I had a lot of ridicule as the coach, and I didn't feel like I wanted to pursue fighting anymore. I had been fighting my whole life, and after that fight, I decided to go a different direction and find out who I was outside of the fight game.
So you started just focusing all your energy towards self-discovery, essentially.
Yes.
Right.
Self-discovery, and then that was shortly after Randy Couture, who I work for here at his gym. He said, "Tim, I'm starting a non-profit veteran and professional athlete program called
MVP.
MVP, Merging Vets and Players." And he said, "We're going to be doing it at the gym. We're going to have a workout and what's called a fireside chat." And going into this program, I was able to learn about how people can share their story, like as you heard in the last podcast with with Isaac. And I just started to develop relationships, and not only am I wanting to help self-discovery on myself, but I want to help these other warriors.
Right, bring that out of themselves. And
Yes.
exactly. Yeah,
And that's when stick boxing became something magical to me, because these guys, put two warriors in front of each other and put gloves on them. They're not going to be thinking too much. They're just gonna
reacting to what's coming. Exactly.
But the sticks actually helped keep a little more distance, so they're not too close to each other, and it allowed them to connect pain-free. So that same feeling that I had always been searching for, I said, okay.
It's almost like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. I'm with you. Yeah, like a constant reassurance almost. Huh.
And the connection, not only through hitting, but through sound. We do some drills where the eyes are closed, but we use these 20-inch sticks that are it's like a swimming noodle with the handle in it. We use it to connect to the beat of the music and do certain patterns that activate our senses. So it's kind of like an international language. So
patterns where your brain recognizes it and it like releases like a sense of equilibrium, or like a sense of like balance type of thing.
Overall balance. There's something called chakras. We have energy units in our body.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of emotional, especially with a lot of warriors, a lot of the emotional chakra is a little bit off. So anytime we have connection, or anytime that people feel like they can share with someone, or people can feel comfortable, then there's a feeling of, some people don't know how to explain it, but really what you just said, it's the feeling of balance. and connection.
Right. No, I actually also just started getting recently more into like spiritual, like observing and like chakra realignment and stuff like that too. I had a Reiki session maybe like a week ago. My blood rushing to my head, and like it was a powerful experience. I thought I heard something on the side of my ears. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you've ever gone to any of those, but it's a very cleansing feeling of having your energies aligned. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've done a few different variations of that, but it's all very similar to get the body in harmony.
Mm-hmm. Where can people go to find out more about Tim Lane Fitness and just more about your story and stick boxing and how to connect with people?
I'm at timlanefitness.com.
Oh, okay.
And all my social media at timlanefitness.com.
All right, Tim. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time. And thank you for coming on the Business Owner Spotlight. See you next time.
Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.